Hello internet, hello Eisenbahnfreunde, hello fellow modelers. It's been quite some time since I've done a video, and that's had a lot to do with my builder bailing out on me. I was going to have some work done, I got a partition removed, and unfortunately he bailed out and I've had to get some additional quotes, but more about that on another video. Hopefully we'll get some movement soon with that. But first and foremost, I want to thank Jim. He's got a YouTube channel. He lives just up the road from me. He's got HO layout in his loft, hover motion. I'll put the link in my video so that you can have a look at his layout. It's well worth a look. He's very switched on guy, and he went and bought a Fleischmann intercity set for Engage, and obviously he's a HO guy, and I think it was just we were both trying to get the same set, and he realised after I contacted him that I was after it, and he's kindly sold it to me for the price that he paid for it. So big thank you, Jim. I really appreciate that, my friend. I've already started the wheels in motion, you might say, to have that fantastic class 103 made into a sound locomotive, because the one that's in that set is actually analog. But anyway, thank you very much again, and also I'd like to thank him for linking my YouTube channel in his video. You can see the train set that I'm on about if you go and have a look on his videos. He did it recently, and all the subscribers that have joined, I'd like to welcome you and hope that you have a bit of a fun journey with myself. And if you've got any questions, although it appears that I've had a few emails from some of you guys already who've been looking at some of my videos, some of my weathered stuff, and I've had 22 emails in the last sort of week to 10 days asking me how, what, why. So how do I weather my wagons, locos, whatever? What do I use? It's really hard to answer that question in one shout, really, because you can't see all the paints. Well, I'm gonna just lift my car. I don't really want to lift it up because it's set for doing some weathering. It's going to get a bit shaky, this, guys, but as you can probably see, I've got a lot of different paints and weathering powders, and I've got everything there that you can't imagine what I've got here. It's crazy. As you can see, there's some pigment stuff at the back there, but I'm kind of like, it's really difficult to say I do this or I do that, because it depends how I feel on the day, and it kind of like, it's just what do I fancy doing. And so I don't really have a set routine. I just think, right, today I'm going to use this, today I'm going to do that. So I can airbrush, I can paintbrush, I can literally use acrylics, oils, enamel washes, acrylic washes, pigments. So there's a combination of everything, and it just depends what I feel like on the day, to be honest, and what the weather conditions are like, because if you're using oils, obviously it takes a bit of time for it to dry. And today, as you can see in front of us, I've got two wagons. The one at the back is totally clean, out of the packet, brand new, and the one in the foreground of the video is actually the one I've just spent half an hour faffing about with, and all I've used is just weathering powders, nothing else, just to try and get it to look like it's a 6-month-old wagon rather than some of my other stuff. I've got a couple of examples here that I'm going to show you quickly. Let me pick this up. I want to try and bring it as close to the camera as I can and try and focus on it so you can see some of the detail. Hopefully, I've got to remember which way to go now, left and right and all that. So right, so I've got to come this way. So as you can see, I'm having to, because I've got a light in front of me here as well, so let me just lift my light up a bit so it's out of the way. I want to bring this as close to the camera as I can and get a really close shot on it. So hopefully you can see the streak marks down the wagon, and this has just purely been done with weathering powder, nothing else. Let me just twist it around. I don't want to put my hands on it because it's not proper dry yet. Well, it's dry because it's powders, but I mean, I've used some water on it as well. Let me just get to the end of it here as well. There you go. So hopefully you can see the end of the wagon as well. I'm not used to holding this up to close to the camera, so let me swing it round so you can see the other side, because it's totally different the other side. It's kind of like, I'm trying to get the light on it as well so you can see it. Hopefully you can see the streaky marks coming down it from the light there, look. And again, I'm just going to whap it round here and get close to the camera. Let me just zoom it in for you. Forgive me guys, because it's really difficult at this table that I'm at. So you can see the roof marks from what I've done, and as the light catches it, I haven't done the bogies or anything. All I've done is just the carcass of the wagon. And the reason why I've done that is because I only wanted to sort of represent that it'd been, you know, it's slightly gone over a period of 6 months or so. So you can see the effect that I've managed to get. This is just in 25-30 minutes. Let me just try and get that. Right, there we go. So it's a really nice sharp look. And the actual, I've managed to get a lot of drip work, a lot of line. Get a shine on the light. Hopefully you can see the lines right down here. There's some lines down there which are basically watermarks from using the powder. So when I've used the powder, I've actually used a very fine brush to wash it down, so it's washing down that way, which is the standard procedure for anything like that. Let me put this back on the table because my arm's starting to work. So that's just been done with powders and pigments, and I've kind of used, I'll show you a couple of things that I've used here. So I've used metal slag. Yeah, let's get this focused in so you can see what it is and the number of it. So my first coat, which is what I'm going to do again here. Let's get that. There we go. So it's metal slag, and it's MIG 3020. So that's what I started off with, and that's what I'm going to do with another model in a minute. I'm going to try and do one live, which I've not live, but I'm going to try and make a video of one as I do it, and I've never done that before, so this will be an experience for me. So I've got a couple of MIG pigments here. I'm undecided which other ones I'm going to use. I'm probably going to go with some Valero as well. I'm definitely going to use the metal slag. I'm probably going to use the burnt umber from excuse me while I cough. The burnt umber from Valero. I can't move my hand in front. I'm not used to doing this, guys, sorry. So hopefully you can see that. So it's 73-1110, and it's burnt umber from Valero. So I'm going to be using that, and then I'm going to use probably I'm not sure yet which one I'm going to use. It'll probably be one or the other of these two. So I'm going to use either the natural umber or the light sienna. And how I use these is at the very end. As you can see from the colour pigment in the bottom of them, they're sort of like a light colour. They're like a sandy colour. And what I do when I use pigments is I finish it off to try and lighten it up. So I lighten up the middle because it's dark underneath. And that's how I use pigments. Now, on acrylics, you might have seen this particular model on one of my videos recently. Again, let me get this into focus and get it into some sort of, so you guys can see it. So as you can see, this is all done with acrylics, and it's pretty much done with a bit of airbrush work, but mostly with the brush. And the reason why I used the brush on this is because I wanted to get the wet look and get the streakiness very, very thin. And sometimes even with the O2 airbrush that I've got, it's still a bit too thick. But I've also, if you look at this roof is phenomenal. It looks like it's been burnt. It's kind of like, let me get it into that light, see if I can. Oh, I'm terrible with this. Right, there we go. So I don't know if you can pick it out, but it's like it's burnt on top from the sun burning it. So obviously what I've actually done is I've used a sponge with various different colours, but I'm going to get a real close up here. So right, there we go. So you can see the amount of work that's gone into the top of that, can't you? Now it looks like it's a lot of work, but it's not, seriously. It's just, that is just total, I've just used a sponge and just sponged it on, and then I've used different colours over the top of it, and I've got that rust effect by using different, I've used acrylic water, acrylic acrylic fluid, and that's how I've got that effect on top of the roof. And it's kind of like, I've done that on a few of them, and it looks fantastic. It gives you a really good finish. And you can see here, you can see a lot of the little lines in this here from the very thin, I've used a very thin brush to get the line effect, so we get that water effect down the side of the tank. And then you can obviously see there's a lot of work gone into the onto the ribs as well, and that's been done with acrylics. So it doesn't matter what paint you use. It depends, like, it depends what mood I'm in for me to determine what I'm going to use, and I never know. Each time it's different. Here's another one. This is, oh, do you know what? I haven't brought the picture with me. I wanted to show the picture, but I haven't got it. It's in the Fleischmann magazine, but this is oil. So you can probably pick out the roof here, how much work's gone into this roof. All the small amount of pigmentation on the roof, splashing oil on it. And this is my latest 218. That's pretty tasty. And if you look at it, it's pretty weathered. But again, it's hard to get it. Let me get it closer to the camera and move the camera around a bit. I want to get the DB badge so you can actually see it. There we go. And you can see there's a lot of work gone into that. I'm going to do a video on this locomotive when I get some sort of a layout set up, but obviously I haven't got one set up at the moment. I'm going to just put this so it's front on, so you can see the effect on the window and everything. Sorry for the fiddly work on my hands, but it's a bit difficult because I'm sat right on my desk and I've got like a light over the top and everything. So hopefully you've got an idea of what's going on there. Anyway, that's all oil. So let me focus back on the table again. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try and do one live now. I'm not sure how this is going to work out, whether it's going to work out or not. I'll do my best, and if it fails, it fails. It's just the way it is. The way my camera's set up and the amount of small space that I've got to work in, it's quite difficult. So trying to achieve holding it without putting my hand in front of the camera and all, that's going to be quite difficult. But I just want to show you some of the technique that I use, and that anybody can do this. It doesn't matter how experienced you are, because if you're using powders, you can wash it off and then you can start again. So if you want to try something like this, what I suggest you do is you get one of your older models that you're not too concerned about and practice on that. Do it, wash it off, and do it again. Once it's dry, give it another go, try some different colours, try some different shades. That's how I started doing it. I used to paint figures when I was younger, because I used to do Warhammer and stuff like that. And I picked up dry brushing and stuff like that technique, and I've carried that on into my modelling really, and I just use different techniques to do different things. I've recently got out and bought, as you can see, a lady's makeup set. So this has got a bit of a really strong brush on the end of it. Let me get focus it in. There we go. So it's got a really strong brush, which is great, but that is the one I use the most. This is what I use for my powders, which I'm going to be using today. So this has got, let me see if I can put my hand there so you can see it. So it's flat, so it's kind of really it's great for running down like that. So when I use it, what I'll be doing is I'll be using this brush just to brush down like that through the ribs that you can see there. So what I'm going to be doing, because that looks like a pretty good focus point there, so I'm gonna I'm going to use this model here that I've got in my hand now. This is the one I'm going to weather live on my camera, and hope that I don't faff it about and make a mess of it. Now, you might not see the intricate detail of what I'm doing, but at least you'll see and understand what I'm doing. I'll explain what I'm doing as I go along, and then you'll see what the effect is at the end, and how I manipulate it. And it's all basic stuff, really. Let me move the one out of the way that I've already completed, and then we'll compare it with that later on. Now, this one I'm not going to do as dark as that one is there, so I am going to use the in fact I might use, let's have a look. I've got yeah, I'll use the slag again, metal slag, and then I'll not use as much of the burnt umber, and then we'll just see what it looks like. I might even cut the burnt umber out so there's no brown effect on it. We'll have a look and see, and I might just use the natural umber instead and see what that comes out like at the end. So anyway, let's have a go at this. Now, what I tend to do is, let's just unscrew this for you, and let's see if you can see. Let me see if I can get my... So you'll probably notice inside the cap there's a bit of dirt in there, or a bit of stuff, and what I tend to do is I tend to get some on the brush and just flap it inside, so there's a little bit in there, and then so that's basically how I start. So now you'll see there's a bit in there moving about, so I don't go back into my pot again. I don't need to. So, and then what I do is I just put enough on the brush. Now my hand's going to go in front here a lot, so I'm going to try and keep my holding hand out of the way, and just try as much as possible to get just the hand that's... Let me see if I can get the focus here as well. Let me see if I can focus it in. There we go. So I tend to put the pot underneath the wagon, and then I start from the right hand side, and then all I do is I just brush down, and you'll notice there's quite a lot gone on there already. That's just the first one, and you can already see there's a massive amount of darkness on there, isn't there? And whilst that isn't the finished article, that's how it starts. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to, let me pull my hand down, you're trying to just keep that line down. You want to fill in the lines to the left and right of the ribs, and then brush the excess straight off the top, back down into the cup to the lid, and then you just follow that through all the way. So basically I'm just going to do that quickly, because of the way the camera's set up here, you're not going to see where it goes in the cracks because it's too far away, the camera, but you'll have to take my word on it. What I'm doing here is you'll see that the ribs, like I'm specifically filling up the bottom parts, and where the lines are. So I'm kind of brushing it against the rib, so to the left and the right, so that it fills up. So then it creates a line, and you'll notice hopefully that with that line, that is, I'm going to use water afterwards to mix them and mend it together, so it kind of like produces a kind of very, very watery, rainy look on the actual outside of the model. So let me just, I've got to be careful I don't touch this with my hand without the glove on, because if you do, then you get fingerprints on it. It's really hard to get it off. So that's another tip. Don't use your hand. Use the one with the glove on it to hold the model. Otherwise, you're going to be struggling. I need to move my. I can't see what I'm doing because I'm blind. So here we go. I can see what I'm doing better now. You'll notice that there's some lines here which are getting filled up with dirt. I'm not sure whether you can see it in the camera there, but so what's happening is I'm brushing the excess down to the ribs at the bottom of the wagon, which is here, so it's catching all the dirt at the bottom, all the pigment I should say. And the reason you want to do that is because when we use some liquid afterwards, you want to pull them pigments out of that bit of a dent that you've got in there, and then you want to bring it down over the top, and it looks like a rain effect then. That's how I get the effect of the rain on it. And it also fills up all the ribs all the way around, So you get that lining effect where it looks natural that the dirt has gathered while the vehicle's been moving forward, etc., or in reverse, or whatever direction it goes in. So all this is about is just keeping, you'll have seen it on lots of other videos before, you're just trying to create that stroke from the top to the bottom, and you know, by doing that you're moving it all the way down. And don't be scared to use some of this stuff, because at the end of the day it's cheap to buy. But always keep the strokes going upwards and downwards, because that is how you'll get that effect at the end. You'll notice that you'll have a lot of excess on even, but you can brush it off, so it's not a big deal. So this is already looking better than the other one, if I'm honest, because I put a lot more on than what I would do normally, but this is because I want you guys to see it on the video, and it's creating a lot more of a smudging effect than what I got on the other one. So this is probably going to be a lot darker than I said it was going to be, unless I just go without the brown umber and go with straight on the white, on the lighter one, the light umber. But I don't know, we'll see. We'll let it do what it does, because each wagon's got its own DNA anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what or how, as long as you get the desired effect at the end. So let me just grab the vehicle from underneath. I need to hold my hand behind it so I can keep the camera. I'm trying to keep it in camera view for you guys. I'm terrible at this, me. I'm not very good. Let me just move my camera so I can move my hand a bit further across, because I need to keep it on the table so I can hold the action. There we go. That's probably a bit better for you guys. You can probably see it better. So again, forgive me for the camera work here, but obviously this is the first time I've done this, so I'm not really used to doing something like this on camera. So it's a bit of a learning curve for me as well. But as long as you guys can see what I'm doing and you get the gist of what's happening, then you can apply this to your own vehicles and models or whatever you do. Because I do this with everything. I do it with my trains. I do it with my model vehicles that I use on the roads, on the layout and stuff like that. So anything, container wagons, all this, you can do all this with container wagons as well. You can use a sponge with acrylic or oils on it to get the rust effect on the ribs and stuff like that. So for example, if I was using a sponge now, here's a sponge, and I would be dipping it in that, and then I would be going down the rib, but this would be a lot smaller. It would be, I've got a very small one here that I use. So basically I've got a very, very small bit there, and I dab that in, and then I just dab it down the ribs. Sometimes you have to tape off the ribs, because otherwise the smudge will go onto the flat part of the model, and you don't really want that. So that's how I do my tankers. I use tape that I've got underneath my desk here, and I use that on each side of the rib so that it protects the actual model siding. So here we are, we're nearly at one side done here now. Let me shut up and concentrate for a minute, and then you guys can just watch, hopefully. I am going to speak here because there's some white here. As you can see, this colours in really quickly. Now, I've moved this all the way to the bottom for the simple reason is I want the effect at the very bottom as well. So I want to get it right down the bottom, so it's, because that's where all the waste actually falls. It falls to the bottom of the actual wagon. So along the base, along here, this is where the most is. So this is where you start to see rust and stuff like that at the bottom, because that's where all the water's accumulated. It's run down the actual side of the vehicle, and then it gives that effect. So that's why I tend to finish with maybe a bit of acrylic or something at the end. You know, like I've got, let me show you this one, because this is one of my favourite acrylic rusts. I'm going to bring this up close to the camera so you can see what it is. So bear with me a second while I just zoom in. This is my favourite wash of all. It's MIG, and it's 0851, and it's called Light Rust. I'm just going to take the lid off. You might be able to see it. I'm not sure if you can, but it's absolutely fantastic. Can you see that colour in that? On that? For me, it's very watery, and it allows you to manipulate it, and then you can use even more water to actually thin it out even more, so you don't get too thickness, and you can build up a level on it. So that's what I tend to do when I'm using rust. Look at that, you can already see there's a massive difference. This is what it looked like a minute ago. Let me just put another one next to it So you can see straight away how it's just that short amount of work, how it's given that effect. And there's too much on there at the moment because I'm going to wipe some of that off. So you can use a tip, what you call it, you can use one of these buds to if you get too much on, and just give it a wipe off. You know, you can run it down with water on it, but I'm pretty sure that it's not too much, and that by the time I've finished it'll be right exactly where I want it. So let me just finish this off and quieten down a minute while I just get this last bit done, and then we'll turn it around and get on the other side. Right, so let's whip it round and start the other side. Let me just bring the camera back into it. There we are. Hopefully that's pretty cool. So here we go again. Start from the top, right from the very top, pull it down, straight down, right the way down. So filling in the whole of the roof and all the way down the rib. Turning the brush over and doing the same again. Back into the pot, take some out, and away we go. Trying to get the rib effect at the bottom there so it's full of dirt, because that's what I'm going to work with the water afterwards. And the water that I use is out the kettle, so I'll boil the kettle and then I use the water from that, because it seems to be more pure, and it works better with powder than what just tap water does. Tap water tends to be more greasy. That probably sounds daft, but it feels different. I found it a lot smoother with it because I'm going to be using a very, very, very thin brush at the end to create the actual lines. Forgive me, I'm just going to cover the camera for a second with my hand here while I just do this top part on the roof. But I need to get that thickness off the top before it gets dry, because the light of the lights here are quite warm this evening, and it'll probably dry it in more. So I don't want it to go too dry until it's actually finished. Probably doesn't sound right that with it being dry powder anyway, but the light tends to make it work harder on the actual plastic. This powder is fantastic. I love it. It's got like a very dull, perfect finish. But you don't have to rub this in really hard either. I'm just all I'm doing is rubbing it on the surface. I'm not consciously trying to rub it in dead hard. I'm just letting the brush roll over it naturally, and then any excess I'm just brushing it straight back into the lid. This is one way of retaining the stuff as well, so you're not actually wasting it, because sometimes if you do it on a bit of paper or something like that, it tends to stick on the paper as well, and then you've wasted a load of it. And this stuff, it's not expensive, but I'm a bit of a tight sod. I like to keep what I've got and try and use it again if I can. Right, so that's another half done. Hopefully you can see, I mean, between the two differences there, you can see how it stands out. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? It has a massive impact, and this is without any paint. It's just fantastic. I love it, mate. It's great. Kind of like, how can you paint a model with powder? It's crazy, isn't it? I love Fleischmann models, right? The reason why I only buy Fleischmann is because look, some of the locos have been poor of late. I've just sent another one back yesterday. I bought the new train set, the SSB diesel, the 203, which is their first venture into doing small diesel locos with a sound chip in it. Two of them, sound chip went after 25-40 minutes. Gave up the ghost. So they've obviously not QA'd it properly, and I'm a bit disappointed really, because I really wanted a small one. I have got a 203 with a sound chip in it. I had somebody fit one for me, because I'm not very technical with that when it comes to that sort of thing. I'm pretty alright with software and stuff like that, but when it comes to things like fitting that, my fingers are just not good enough for that. I break things when I take them apart. Got touched like an elephant. Right, we're nearly done here, guys. First brush, first layer is on. And then I'm going to go and do the ends then. Once I do the ends, then we'll go on to the second. See, that's really dark there. On the other model, it wasn't as dark on the white. So I might get the old... I don't know, we'll see what happens. It looks alright actually, it doesn't look too bad I think. So, the thing that I want to point out here is, let me just take that out of the way and let's just bring it back to the camera a bit so we can get close up on it so you can see what's actually happened here. So you'll notice, look at the darkness, so especially the third rib along, how that's gone really dark, but the other ones are not. And you can see that on the roof as well, it's taken differently along the roof all the way along. So you don't get the same effect on every model. It looks totally different. And that's what I like about this powder. Now, I haven't used water on it yet. I'm going to wipe this out with water, and I'm going to make it streak marks, but that's going to be done after I've put the second coat on and I've put the umber on, or whichever one I decide to use. So let's just whap it around now, and I just want to take the access off the roof, guys, because I've got a bit of access on the roof. So let me just get rid of that first. Now, once you use a wash on this, it will seal the powder in. You can if you think that you've made a mistake and you want to get rid, you still can, but you just have to be a bit harder with the water, you know, and some soapy water to wash it off. But I never wash them off. I'm pretty happy with what I do all the time, and if it looks different, then I'm happy with it looking different. So that's the front panels done. Let's just do the back now. So all I do now is I just run down the middle of the panels here, from the top to the bottom, like as normal. And you can't see that because it's not even. That's a bit better, isn't it? Sorry about that, guys. I took it out of focus when I moved it back. So it's the same thing. I'm just brushing from the top to the down, from top to bottom, and just creating an effect, really, filling in the grooves. I did this video 10 minutes ago before I started this one, and I left the soul music channel on in the background, and I couldn't hear my video. so that's why I had to do it again. It took a bit longer to do, but hey ho, everyone likes a bit of music, don't they? So here we go. On the other side, it's interesting. There's some small red lights on here. You might not be able to see them, but it's very cool how they've put them on. There's yellow on one side and red on the other, so you can turn it round so it's got it facing, if you so want that, you know, so you're facing the way the train's going, or like this one obviously you've got red right at the very bottom here. I'm not sure you can see the little red marks on it. Let me get close so you can see it. Hopefully if I can get it close enough. I don't know which way to pull it. There we go. Maybe you can just see the little red lights on the bottom here. They've just been maybe not. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see them or not. Well, never mind, let's crack on, because I don't want this video to be 16 hours long. So, there we go. So that's pretty much down the side. Oh, I love this powder. I can't stop using it. Right, let's get that done, because that's so just tap the lid like that and then tip it back in, and then any excess goes back into your bottle and you don't lose any. And then when you screw it back on, it stays on anyway, so it's pretty cool. Am I going to use yes, I'm going to use a little bit of burnt umber, and I'm just going to use it in the middle. I'm not going to go down the sides of the panels on that. I'm just going to pop it down quickly. I wasn't going to use it, but I'm going to, because I like the darkness of it. I think it's cool. And then I'll finish off with a light one. Again, this is just straight into the lid, and then here we go. what I'm going to do though, I'm not going to, like on the other one, I did it all the way around. I'm just going to go straight down the middle of it and not faff about here, because I don't want as much on this as I've got on the other one. I just want to get a little bit of brownness on there. So some will be browner than the others and some won't even show it. But that's cool, that's fine. Right, so I've done that quickly there. Let's just do a bit on the end as well. Now this is where you would see more rust on here, because obviously it's facing the weather, whereas the sides are, it's literally brushing off the sides. So this is why on this particular wagons I always do a bit more brown on the back end. And I will actually be I will be doing the buffers on it as well, but that'll be done. I'll probably do that with some acrylic paint just to finish them off, because I like the silver buffer. Well, where the buffer joins, I like the metal effect look, so I will be doing a bit of that, and then a bit of gunge on the old flat part of the buffer itself, or the bub. That's quite a bit of brown on that top bit there, but that's alright, don't mind a little bit on one of them. Don't want to go too balmy though. Try not to touch the top with my fingers, because it'll leave a fingerprint on, and once you get a fingerprint on, it's a nightmare to get rid of. I like that on top of there, it looks pretty cool. I'm just going to run this down the middle so I've got a bit of red on the top, because that's where you get most of that. So let me just brush that off, the excess. Right, that looks pretty cool, I think. Right, so that's that side done. I'll just brush the excess off on this side. That's stuck in the top of the part of the roof. Right, so that's pretty much the red part done. So I said I don't waste it all, and what have I gone and done? I'm going to waste it all. Right, never mind. Just wipe my hand clean. It was a bit of a fail. Right, so I'm going to use the light one, so I can get rid of that bit of darkness it's got in some areas. Too much, don't want too much. Right, okay. So I'm just going to once over this. I'm going to go once over and then that's it done, because I don't want to create too much. The darkness that I already got from the beginning is enough. So once down and then off. So what this does is it takes that darkness away, and it just leaves a bit of light rather than dark. So it shows, especially along where the bogies are here, it kind of like shows like normal, like dust that you get off the road, off the railroad. The real work comes in a minute when we actually when I go down with the water, because that's where you make or break the model. Because if you get it perfect, you'll see like fantastic little skinny lines going down. They look like proper drip marks, look like proper like the water's run down correctly. It's not that you can get incorrect water running down, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like, it looks natural. That's the word I was looking for, natural, which is something I'm not very good at when it comes to talking when I'm doing work like this. But hopefully you're seeing how simple this is. It's not rocket science at all. And all I'm doing is just powder over powder all the time. But you're getting a different effect because you're not having the same amount on each rib. It's different each time. So when you've got a darker area and then you pop this light on it, it reduces the it reduces that darkness. But if you're not happy with that, then you can go back again and you can put a bit more dark over the top of it, just a very light one, you know what I mean, and it gives that shadowing effect again. But I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing here, to be honest. This is probably a little bit lighter than the previous model that I did, which is fantastic. I'm quite happy with that. Don't really want to put too much on the ends because I want to keep that darkness there. Right, so that's pretty much it. I'm not sure how much time that took. It probably took a bit longer because I'm yakking, but normally I have that done in about 10 minutes. This is sticking in the lid and being awkward. Let me just brush it out. There we go. It's gone into rib. Don't want it to go all over my desktop. I have to clean it all off again. Right, so that's number 2 and number 3 done. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my paintbrush out, and I've got a really small paintbrush here. I've got a, let's see if you can see it, 5.0, I think it's 5.0, is it? There you go. There you go, it's a 5.0. So, and the end of that is going to be just ideal for what I need. So I've got a bit of water in a syringe here. I'm just going to pop a bit in my dish, and I mean a bit. Then all I'm going to do now, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to streak it down the side of the model, starting from the right to the left. So you don't want too much water on. You want enough to make it move, but not too much. This is an art, this one. This is the bit where it gets, you either get a really good look or else you can't see anything. So this is where you want to move the powder. So this, you can manipulate the powder into lines here. This is the best part of it. This is the part I really enjoy, because you can get that lined effect over the rib, and it streaks all the way down, and then all that's stuck in the rib at the bottom. And when I say at the bottom, I mean you've got a bit of a rib along here and a rib along the bottom here. So when you, I want to try and get this really close so you can see what I'm talking about here. So there we go. So I don't know if I can, because I haven't got enough light. Let me just pull it back a bit, this light I've got on here. I'm not sure if you can already see that it's streaked already on the top. I can't lift my hand up that high. Sorry guys, it's going to have to be done down here. I've just changed the lens on my camera by mistake there. Let me just push it back up. There we go. That's an auto focus again. Right, so let's try again. Let's get back down here. There we go. That should do us there, I think. Yep, there we go. Right, let me get my water back quickly. Don't want it to dry in too quickly. What I've already done. So I'm trying to move everything up so it stays in camera view. You probably see a bit of light moving about there because I've got like a magnifying glass thing that I'm looking through because I'm blind as a bat. So all I'm doing is I'm moving my brush down in streaks like that, and it's streaking that black. The black's coming through the actual umber light, the light umber that I put in, and it's just streaking down, and it's leaving really fine lines all the way down. And then when you get to the bottom part on the bottom rib, it does the same thing on it. It looks as if it's just spilt over the rib and it's dropped down. See if I can show it more on the white part here. I don't know if you can see that, guys, but it looks amazing. You probably can't see it because it's so small, but you don't want to put too much water on either as well. You want it just to be damp, because then you'll see it grabs the powder as you pull it down. It grabs it and then pulls it in a line, and then it looks like it's been caught by the rain, and the rain's just dripped straight the way down, and it just looks phenomenal. And when somebody picks a model up or looks at it very closely, they're astounded that you've been able to draw little black lines straight all the way down, and they look like it's just chucked it down with rain for half an hour. This is probably the best way to get the rain effect on any model, because you're using powder, you're not using paint. Then you can get rid of it if you want it as well. If you want to sell that model later on down the line, you can just wash it off, and then you can sell the model. If the person who's purchasing that model from you wants the marks on it, then you're quids in, because you can charge a bit more money for it if you are that way inclined. I don't sell any of my stuff. I just keep it. The people that are going to be able to buy my stuff at the end is when I end up in a 6-foot box, and my son won't have a Scooby-Doo what he's doing, so that's the best time to get my stuff. Not planning on doing that for a couple of years yet though, so don't be getting carried away, everyone. Okay, so I'm not sure if you're seeing this effect, guys, but I hope you are, because it looks fantastic. Nothing like blowing your own tune, is it? If you push too hard on this, you'll mess it up, so it has to be really light. So you just want to be catching the powder, and you'll know if you're doing it right, because the powder will just drift over the top of the ribs, and then it'll line it perfectly, like you've just done it with a very fine needle, and you'll see the straight lines at the bottom, and the way the water's dripped down the metal container itself, or the outside of the shell of the vehicle. You'll get, if you use a lot of water, you'll get a thicker mark. If you use a little bit of water, you'll get a thinner mark. So you can gauge what's happening by how much has come down. This one here, I'm using a bit more water on this because I want it to highlight over the white. That's gone really nice, that has. This is better than the other one. I say better, it's just got its own character. It's like everything, it has a character, or as I call it, a DNA. All the wagons that you do have their own DNA. Right, that's that side done. So I'll turn it round, try not to catch it, and the same again. Start from this side again. There's not as much on this side, so this isn't going to be as streaky as the other one was. But it's cool. You won't be able to see what I'm doing because my hand's in the way. But This is really difficult for me doing this. I'm trying to show you so you can see what I'm doing, but I'm pretty much failing. But I'm sure you get the gist of what I'm on about. It's not really hard. It just takes a bit of effort. That's all. Once you've mastered it, and it's just straight lines all the time, so you can't really make a mess. It's just, you can't mess it up. It is what it is. As long as you've got it firm in your hand and you keep it nice and straight, then everything will come out nice. Oh, this is going to be nice, this bit here. I've just used a lot of water on that one. That's to try and take more of the powder off so it doesn't look as much as the other one was on the one to the right of it. Now this one's got less water on and it looks thicker. You might be able to see that. That's really thick, that line. So this is the rib that I've just done here. Let me see if I can get it a bit sharper for you. No, it's not going to show it, is it? Oh, there you go. So you can probably see it now. You can probably see the dark line down the side there. It's really dark down there. So managed to focus it in for you guys. Let's put it back to normal. Nearly done now anyway, so. I like using this brush for doing this because it's easy to hold in your hand, the way it's shaped. I need to cover the camera for a second, guys, while I do this last bit of rib here, because I don't want to put too much water on this one. Right, now what I'm going to do this time, which I haven't done on the other one, is I'm actually going to clean the writing off of it, so it's different than the other one is. So I'm going to actually clean it off. And what this does is it leaves the marks down the outside of each rib, and it keeps the centre part clean. I don't know if you could see that. Let me have a look, see if I can get that to focus in for you guys. Can you see how clean it is there now? So all the rest of it, apart from this bit at the end, which I'm going to clean off as well. But by doing it this way with water, it'll still leave streak marks on it. It just makes it a lot cleaner. So this is like somebody's gone round and just tidied it up, made it nice and clean, because it's not. So they've gone out, the workers have gone and they've took it through a car wash, if you like, for trains. Right, that just proves my point really about they can get rid of any marks or any mess that you made by doing it that way, and that pretty much covers the issues that you've got. I just want to put the lines back on the very top where it's just dripped down. Right, so I think I'm pretty happy with that. That's pretty, it's come out better than the other one actually. I'm loving the black lines that have come down here. Right then, let's get on the end. Now because this is a different type of grey, you'll see the lines on this a lot more on the actual end of the wagon, because it's sharper. Get some light on this. See if we can zoom it in better. See if you, hope you can see the lines. There's a lot of lines on the actual end of the cab itself. A bit more water on here. Turn my light a bit so I can see what I'm doing. Brilliant. Absolutely over the moon with that. I'm just doing the top of the roof just to make it so it's slightly different than the other one I've done. Need a bit more water. It's dried up. Okay, so let's just see if we can clean this roof out a bit more. Fabulous. Right, and now I'm going to do something different on this one. I'm actually going to use my sponge effect. So I'm going to get a bit of see if I can get this to work. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get a little bit of sponge off, and I'm going to put a bit of rust on the roof. So I need a bit of paper because I don't want too much on. So effectively, let me show you the colour of this. Let's see if I can show you on this bit of paper here. Let's move that out of the way so I can bring it up. Which way am I going here? There we go. Right, so it kind of looks like oh, I can't focus it in because I'm too close. Let me move back a bit. So there you go. That is how rusty it is. It's like a, there we go. Got there in the end, didn't we? So that's the colour. I love it. It's one of my favourite colours that I use all the time on my models. That's what got the effect on the back of this tanker, on the top of that tanker I showed you earlier. Now what I want to do with this is I just want to put a few marks on the roof. I don't want to go balmy, just want to make it so it looks as if it's gone dry before I've got it on. I just need a bit more on quick, and then just a bit quick dab on it, and then that's not quite enough. Bit of raw on. Oh, there we go. Trying too quick because it's so warm. I'm loving the colour of this, it looks fantastic. Right, okay. A little bit more, just mix it in. Cool. What this does, it gives it that mouldy effect. Like there's bits of grass, not grass growing, but you know how you get mould on top of things because of a certain condition. So I'm gonna see if I can. You'll probably be able to see it slightly. Let me move this light out of the way. It's doing me head in. My camera works. Sorry about this, guys, but I need to get it pulled back at a certain length. So I'm sure you can see that orange. Well, it's not an orange. It's like a lime effect, but you can see it along the top. It's definitely showing because I've put a dab all the way along the roof. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to darken it off. I'm going to go over with a bit of dark and fill out the parts where it's too much. But when it's stood straight, you won't see it. But it just needs a little bit of dark on top of it now, and it'll be fine. So I'm going to use where's the other one gone? I'm looking for something like a bit of concrete or something. Let's have a look. Concrete, light dust, that's what we need. A bit of light dust should do it. Right, let me bring this back into focus for you guys. Need a bit of water on there. Need a new can. That one's got that colour in it. I want a white, a clear one, so I can just clean the brush off. Get rid of that. Right, and I'll use my thingy to clean it off. Right, so what I've done is I've literally you can see there's different shades along the back of the bone here. It's got like a yellowy effect, but it isn't all the way along. It's really hard to pick it out, but it's right on the edge. So it's kind of like as if it's got that little tinge of green, but it's not. It's like a coppery green, and that's pretty much the effect that you get with that. So that's pretty much it, guys. I'm sure you'll agree it's not difficult. Let me just put all this pigment back in, and then we'll stick that next to the other one and see what they look like. So let's have a look and see if they look the same. Hope they don't. They probably do, but hope they don't. Let me just move the camera down a bit. There we go. So as you can see, the roofs are slightly different, but it's the one on the right's the one I've just finished. The one on the left was the one I did earlier, and then this one is what they look like originally. So you can see it's pretty let me see if I can get my camera in a bit more. So you can see the effect is fantastic. It looks like they've been about for such a long time, and that they've not. Hopefully that will give you a better, so you can see. The one on the right is definitely darker than the one on the left, so I mean you can see that obviously. Whoop, camera's going down, sorry guys. It's really hard with all these lights I've got around me here, but the one on the top, there we go. So the one on the top is darker along the top of the rib but lighter along the bottom. This has got more depth in the side of the ribs, so you can see that you get a different effect with each time you do it, and it looks good. I'm pretty happy. Let me know what you think, guys. I mean, obviously it's been quite a long video. I didn't want it to be as long as this, but hopefully it's been some use to you guys. And my next video will be about where we are up to with regards to my partition being taken down, and then hopefully the start of something new. I've got a few new locos that have come along that I want to do a few locos on. I've got 3 or 4 downstairs, but I haven't got a board to do them on, so I'm going to have to knock some up. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And again, thank you very much for all the new subs, and I hope this hasn't been too boring for you guys and you've been able to actually see what I've done. Let me know below if I can do any better. This is new to me, doing weathering on a camera, and it's been a bit of a challenge if I'm honest, especially with me being a bit blind. Having to use this my magnifying glass so I can watch what I'm actually doing. So anyway, thanks again. I appreciate all the new subscribers that have joined us, and hopefully I haven't babbled on too much. See you on my next video. Bye bye everybody.